And then leave him to run his own show.
That's when it's me.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. I'm going to hit record, and we're going to play some music. Well, you found us. Thanks for joining us on a Thursday night, and welcome to Caching in the Northwest. This is the only podcast dedicated to geocaching in the great Pacific Northwest. We'll talk about caches and cachers unique to this little corner of the country. So close those floodgates. It's time to go caching in the Northwest.
That's right, and that means it's also time to bring in our mountaineering monkey. Some say his exotic accent is a chick magnet, and others say he's run the quarter mile faster than Seabiscuit. All we know is he's called Land Monkey.
That's right, and those two facts are directly related. How is up to the listeners in the Q&A to decide. But, hey guys, we want to once again welcome you to the show. Tonight, we give you the inside scoop on another upcoming fantastic event that you should plan to be at this summer, and that is the Mount Vernon Geocoin Challenge. And our guest tonight actually knows just a little bit about the Mount Vernon Geocache Challenge. And that guest is Tom Wenzel. Tom, thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, thank you very much, guys. Appreciate being here.
We appreciate you being here because it's a great event, and we're going to talk about it in a bit. But before we get going, first, of course, we need to start glowing.
That's right, and as always, we are calling this segment Glow, or the Geocaching Log of the Week. Now, whether it's your log or not, or whether it's a log on your cache, or it's a log you just happened to see as you were scrolling through, doing a little bit of research about a cache you're going after, we want to hear about it. So send us an email to feedback@cachingnw.com or call into 253-693-TFTC. Unlike other podcasts, our phone number still works. Or use the voicemail tool on the website to show us how you glow. All right, now this one tonight is from listener and friend of the show, Limax. Limax found The Machine, a shocking revelation. He writes, every night when I would try to drop off to sleep, something would shock me and I'd wake up. I was well beyond screaming at this point. Almost losing my voice stiffened my resolve to not scream anymore. The machine was still torturing me for my DNF and kept on trying to break me even further by showing how weak I was. Bleary-eyed, I hopped into my car this morning, having exorcised the demons that the machine had put in there, and headed out into the cold to put this one to rest.
He continues, again, I approached GZ with trepidation, and every time I would get closer, the machine would shock me. I began realizing where the shocks were getting stronger, and gritting my teeth with unshed tears in my eyes, I approached ground zero. I almost passed out from the pain as I finally noticed what I had missed before. With Herculean effort, I made the grab for the container. The machine sent one last shock into my body as my fingers closed around it. I lay beside the hiding spot with a cache grasped in my hand for I don't know how long. Finally, with trembling hands, I pushed myself upright and struggled to get into the container. My hands weren't really working right, and tears began to fall, which made it very hard to see what I was doing. I ended up completely smearing the artwork on one side of the container with my tears. What it used to be, I no longer know. I was finally able to get the container open and found a dry log inside, which I signed with a shaky hand. The machine seemed to no longer be in the area. Since I didn't feel its shocks anymore, I replaced the container where I found it and moved on my way, only knowing too well that the machine will seek me out again soon.
That's a great log.
Wow.
Yeah, that's very well written. So, Limax, thank you for that one. Guys, share the glow with us. You know, the voicemail tool on the website works really well. I tested it today. There's also an app.
Oh, so we have a
for
voicemail.
smartphones.
Are we going to play it?
No. You don't want to hear what I said. There's also an app for the smartphones that you have to use if you're going to use it that way. But both work well. So just wanted to let you know it's out there.
Very cool.
All right. Well, to write those logs, you need to go out geocaching, right? And while it's a little known fact that some of us geocaching podcast hosts spend more time talking about geocaching than actually geocaching, some of us actually do get out. And so we like to visit that here and see how we're doing. So this week, have you guys had any geocaching adventures, maybe even just some general outdoors recreation stories? Let's start with our guest, Tom. Have you had a good week caching?
I really hate to shame you guys, but I think I'm going to beat everything you did. I just got back from an anniversary trip with my wife. We started with 3 days in New Orleans, did a lot of caching there, took a 7-day cruise, went to Cozumel, Belize, and Honduras, and did some caching there as well. And so that was my last week of caching.
Nice.
Well,
Very
congratulations on your anniversary. What number are you celebrating?
This is number 10. Thank you very much.
10. Nice. Nice. Well, speaking of anniversaries, just this very week, my wife and I celebrated 25 years. So,
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
and with our anniversary and with an impending wedding of my daughter, I've found actually no geocaches. But it didn't matter if I found any. I could not compete with Tom.
No.
He cached in 4 countries this week.
Yeah.
Andrew, what about you?
I think I found one measly little cache within the past week or so. So that doesn't compete with caching. It's not a competition, but I also had a wedding anniversary just a couple weeks ago in this very month. So apparently this was the month to get married. Ours was 28 years. So there you go.
Congratulations.
Len Monkey, did you get married in May?
No, we got married in April.
Okay, well, that's close to May.
So, yeah, I missed that. But we did get out and do a little bit of geocaching. It was another let's do it right, #geocache road trip up to Gold Country for us. So for those who are listening who don't know what Gold Country is, tune in next week and you'll learn all about Gold Country, because our guest next week is from Gold Country and the Gold Country Geo Tour. But we did a few of the Gold Country Geo Tour caches. I think we got about a dozen of the Gold Country Geo Tour caches and close to 150 caches in total for the weekend. Only one country, Canada, but but had a great time driving around up some crazy fire access roads and back roads, and found some great lakes and lots of geocaches. So a fantastic weekend. We've been publishing a few photos out over Instagram and Facebook, and working on a blog and some videos to share from that adventure.
Wow.
So
You're busy.
There's gold in them thar hills, huh?
yeah.
Did you find Stinky Pete the prospector?
I did. You know what? If you want to find Stinky Pete, there's in the town of Cache Creek, there is this character set up right in the middle of the town, right beside the Dairy Queen, and we'll have to ask Terry next week what his name is. I don't know what the name of this character is, this statue, but I call him Stinky Pete because that's what he looks like to me. And so, every time we come through, I have to give. He's holding his hand up like this, so I have to give him a high five every time.
Oh yeah.
Cache Creek. So there you go.
And then you have to wash your hand afterwards because he is Stinky Pete.
He's stinky, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, so that was our geocaching adventure. Again, can't compete with the Caribbean cruise. That sounds like a lot of fun, Tom. But as always, us monkeys had to get out there and just show the rest of the hosts on this show how you geocache.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have to leave now.
All right. Hey, enough about geocaching adventures. Let's talk a little bit about news. Before we roll into some news that we have from Geocaching HQ, I did want to share just a quick little point with our listeners. There have been, in the past week, according to North Shore Rescue, 3 cougar sightings in and around the Grouse Grind. So the kitty cats are out. Be careful when you're out there, folks, and you're hiking. Just be aware they're probably snacky,
Yeah. Remember, we like to be outside to play our game, but we're playing on their playing field.
Yeah.
So be careful of the animals that might consider you part of their food group.
So we're the visitor team.
Yeah, exactly. We're definitely the visitors.
Yeah, don't have your kids carry the catnip down the trail. It's not a good mix.
Don't do that when I have a mouthful, please.
Okay. No raw meat in the backpacks, you know what to do. Yeah. Well, the interwebs have been alive with the information from Geocaching HQ. We got an email just yesterday from Rock Chalk in which he says, today we're happy to announce the end of the moratorium on challenge cache submissions. Effective immediately, new challenge caches may be submitted in accordance with the updated guidelines. And really, you need to take a moment to look at those updated guidelines. There's a lot of interesting verbiage in there that we have not seen before. So he goes on to say, visit the geocaching blog for much more information about the new framework for challenge caches. We've gone into great detail there about the reasons for the various changes. We'll share the news in our weekly email to geocaching members on May 31st. That's just a couple days away.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, please feel free to share this information with your audience. We're excited to know that challenge caches will continue to inspire people around the world to achieve exciting geocaching goals. Best wishes from all of us at Geocaching HQ.
Well, that's great.
So did you guys get a chance to read through the blog article at all yet?
Not yet.
I've skimmed it, and there's some interesting wording in there of what you can and cannot do.
Yeah.
You
You silent out a bit there, but I think we got the point.
Limax says it's time to challenge the challenging of the challenge caches while challenging to challenge the find of the challenging caches.
Okay.
Sounds about right.
Whew.
I think that the biggest piece of announcement to me, honestly, about the challenge caches was the piece that was leaked beforehand, which was you need to have a challenge checker if you're going to have a new challenge cache published. What else was in there that I thought was interesting? The streak piece I thought was interesting. The no new challenge caches can have a streak of more than 365 days, I believe it was.
I think that's right, yeah. So that leaves out 366-day challenges.
And 500 and 1,000.
Yeah. It basically has to be, in order to do a challenge cache, you have to use pieces of data in your geocaching.com stats profile. So it's kind of interesting. Limax also says he just saw the new cougar signs at our local park, by the way.
Oh.
Cougar signs are
out
for
new cougars?
Yeah.
Just for new cougars, not for old ones?
Right.
Right. New cougar signs, yeah.
The Cougars in their rookie season.
Yeah.
No, that's good, and it's good to be aware of those. All the different signage that goes up. Sometimes we gloss it over when we get to the trailhead, just get the boots tied up and hit the trails, and we don't necessarily pay attention to the warning signs. And up here, we get pretty used to seeing the bear on trail signs, and we kind of just sort of disregard them a little bit, but. Definitely, if they've got the cougar sign posted, you kind of want to pay attention to that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No surprises on the trails.
No surprises on the trails. Wits End, did you have anything you wanted to share?
Not about cougars, but a little more feedback from our faithful listeners out there. A couple weeks ago, you might remember, it was episode 146, it says, we talked about auditing cache logs and whether you shouldn't, and how to go about that and all that kind of stuff. A splendid time was had by all. If you missed it, go back and listen to episode 146, why don't you? So we got some feedback on that episode by email from Bullcasher. He didn't use the voicemail tool. Sorry, bad cop. He sent it by email. Still a valid way to send feedback. And Bullcasher says, I lived in Istanbul for 6.5 years, and I got my start geocaching there. There's another exotic destination I can't match. He says, many tourists would come through and log a find on just about all of the geocaches in the area, found or not. There were also many throwdowns, but that's a topic for another day. I had one cache there, which I rated a 3.5-star difficulty. I had drilled a hole in a rock and glued a bison tube in it. I placed it up bison's tube side down on a sea of like rocks. I let the coordinates average for a long time and put a view from the cache picture on the site. Well, one particular time, someone wrote a found it log to the effect of, I looked for a really long time and this cache basically ruined my vacation, so I'm logging it as a find anyway. So I sent him a note, asked him to change his log to a DNF. He said he wouldn't, so I archived it. He got mad at me and logged another found it. I again wrote and asked him to change it. No response. So yeah, I archived it again. He got mad again and told me he'd complain to HQ if I did it again. I, in as nice a tone as I could over email, apologized that this had stressed him out so much, but that this particular cache was designed to be difficult and that you shouldn't get credit for a find that you didn't actually find, especially on a hard cache, etc., etc. Well, he did eventually apologize and settled for a DNF, changing his log to be more polite. So all that to say, yes, on difficult caches, I think you should audit them. I've also used Project GC to find and audit duplicated logs. I always send those people a little note that says, sorry to bother you. You'll get a notification that I deleted a log of yours, but you accidentally logged one of my caches twice, so I'm just fixing it for you. I've never gotten any negative feedback from any of those. He finishes with, thanks for the podcast and have a good day, signed Bull Cacher. So thanks for that little feedback.
That's awesome. And I really like the little bit at the end about using Project GC to find and clean up duplicated logs. I think all of us who own caches get duplicated logs sometimes, and I've accidentally done duplicated logs before as well. The few times I've smartphone cached, never happens when I use the GPS. I'm just saying. Anyways, but definitely I think that's another great plug for Project GC and the many functions that tool/website has. So that's great, Bull Cacher, for sending that in. Thank you very much. All right, okie dokie listeners, let's move on from all of our fantastic news and get to our even more fantastic topic and even more fantastic guest, Tom, to talk to us about the MV Geocoin Challenge. Is it okay if I call it MV, or should I say Mount Vernon?
Both work just fine.
All right, good. I won't confuse anybody. All right, well, our guest tonight, Tom, he is a key organizer of this annual event. But before we get into the event, Tom, maybe our listeners are wondering a little bit about who you are, how you got involved in geocaching, and how you're involved in the MV/Mount Vernon Geocoin Challenge. So could you share a bit about yourself with our listeners?
Sure, thank you. I live here in Mount Vernon, and I have for the last 28 years. I was a police officer here for 27 of those years, and I retired last year. Before my retirement, I had a pretty bad back injury, which resulted in a surgery, and my doctor told me I needed to get out and do some hiking. I hate hiking. Let's just be honest. So my wife discovered geocaching, and what a great way to get on the trails and actually have something to do other than just walking. So we went out one afternoon with our free app, and unfortunately smartphone cachers. The minute we found the first cache, we both stopped right there, got a premium account, and weekends were full for a long time after that. So as a police officer, I was working one night, and a call came in. A lady had gotten lost in one of our parks here and gone off the end of the trail, and it got dark, and she did the smart thing and stopped walking. So she calls 911. I'm lost out in the woods. I don't know what to do. Well, I know that all 911 calls from cell phones have GPS coordinates. So I pulled the phone or the call up and got the phone and turned her into a waypoint, and called one of my buddies, said, hey, meet me at Little Mountain, we're going caching. And so I was able to walk down a trail for a ways, and then went about a half mile cross country and found her and her dog, and so we were able to get her back safely, and we did all that before the search and rescue crew could even begin to muster. So from beginning to end, probably about 30 minutes to find and locate her. Well, of course, that hits the news. It made big local news here, and TV crews did a story on it. It was a big deal, and my parks director at the time had just attended a conference about the Tri-Cities Geocoin Challenge. And so he sees all this, and he comes to me and says, can you do this? And I go, I don't know, maybe. And So here we are now in year 3, and I think in my retirement from the police department, I now work for the Parks Department, so I think that had something to do with it. And so we're super excited. We're starting our 3rd year of our Geocoin challenge. It's bigger and better this year than the previous year, so that's kind of my geocaching story.
Nice. Well, thanks, Tom. That's a very good geocaching story. Don't get me wrong. Now, we're so glad to have you on the show. Last year, this entire crew right here from this podcast made it out to the event in Mount Vernon. But we understand the event this year has a new twist to it. Could you tell us how the event will unfold and what people can expect?
Well, it's similar to last year and even the year before. It's a 3-day event. The main event, the Geocoin challenge itself, is on Saturday. And so this year I was able to bring in some help this year to try to figure all the things out, and we came up with a new concept. It's called our day and night challenge. So there's actually 2 events going on. They're all under the same one. We have this fantastic coin that we're actually going to be receiving. I think Tuesday is the date on it, but it's actually a 2-part coin. So the main coin for the day event is just a kind of has a sunburst on it. If we go to the city's website, you can see the artist rendition of it. And then we have a night challenge that starts after dark, and where you can get the companion piece, which is in the shape of a moon, and it actually magnetically attaches to the main coin itself. So it's a 2-part coin. Both are fine or nice by themselves. But yeah, so we're really excited. We have 10 brand new caches that'll be posted for the day event, and then we have 5 night caches that we're also going to post, and there's some information on that. You're going to need a few special pieces of equipment to do the night cache, but it's going to be a lot of fun this year.
That sounds great. I'm looking forward to looking at. I have to make some plans to stay day and night now. So
yeah.
You mentioned having some help. How many volunteers do you have? Do you still need more help with this event?
I am. I really need to thank my partner in putting this one together. Lisa is her name. Milo's People is her geocaching name. Before I retired, I was the liaison for the Parks Department, and when I became full-time with the Parks Department, I found out I need a lot of help. So Lisa took over my position as the liaison, and her and I together this year, as well as the recreation staff with Mount Vernon Parks and Rec, our hair is on fire right now. We're trying to get last-minute things done. So for this year's event, we're probably real good. For next year's event, which could be bigger and better yet, we could definitely use some help. We're finding out really quickly the bigger this gets, it's bigger than 2 and 3 people.
Oh, I can imagine. I can imagine. So, we may have gotten ahead of ourselves. Let's back up a little bit. Can you describe where Mount Vernon where Mount Vernon is in the state of Washington, and maybe how to pronounce it properly, because apparently I can't do that.
We're kind of just right in the middle. I mean, we're 50 miles south of the Canadian border, and we're 50 miles north of Seattle, and we're right on Interstate 5, and then from there, if you turn left, you'll end up in eastern Washington. If you turn right, you'll end up in the San Juan Islands. So we're kind of the hub of the area here. So can't miss us. 4 exits, take one of them, you'll still find us.
I love it. Now, you've got these wonderful geocaches set up, but what happens if, say, your significant other isn't a geocacher? Is there something else to do during the event for these non-geocaching spouses?
I'm glad you asked. This is a really kind of a big weekend for, and I'll help you pronounce this word. We live in Skagit County, not Skagit, Skagit County. So this is kind of a big weekend in Skagit County. Our neighbor city, Burlington, this is their Berry Dairy Days. It's a big festival with all kinds of celebrating the fruits of the valley, carnivals, all kinds of fun stuff going on. That's on Saturday. Actually, it's all weekend, but it's on Saturday. Also in Mount Vernon during the day, we expect you should be able to get through the day challenge pretty quickly. At about 11 o'clock, the farmers market down on the Riverfront Plaza is in full swing. I think a lot of us got to see that last year a little bit. So there's a lot of that to do. Historic downtown Mount Vernon is just full of just quaint little antique shops and specialty shops and bistro-type restaurants. And you could spend all day just wandering around downtown. But yeah, there's some things to do during the downtime between the day and night challenge. We encourage people to visit our sister city, Burlington. We're actually hoping, a little preview for next year, we're actually hoping to bring Burlington in on this with us. So Mount Vernon being a fairly small place, we've kind of, we are just about saturated with caches in any of our parks. So we're hoping to get Burlington to join in with this and maybe do a two-city thing. Don't want to do the tri-city thing. We'll do the two-city thing. So visit Burlington. It's a great place. The farmers market's going on. Lots of great food and all kinds of things from our local farmers and vendors.
Two cities would be good as long as nobody drives a big truck through a bridge and takes it down, right?
Yeah, we'll try to avoid that. I think we've got that fixed now.
Not like that's ever
What are the odds of that happening?
I know.
Yeah.
It was a great event last year, and as you mentioned, we all went. I happen to have my little coin here from last year with the tulips on the back. Love that coin. So looking forward to coming again, and I know a lot of other people are. So for those people that are planning, what might they need to do to prepare in advance? You mentioned a day and a night type cache. Should they plan to stay overnight? Bring any special equipment for this night stuff? Bring some food, anything like that?
Well, staying overnight, and again, I'll direct you back to our city website. We do have, for those that would like to stay in a hotel or something, we have secured a pretty good deal on one of our nice little hotels here that are offering a discount to our geocaching friends. We've also, for those that are into the camping or RVing, we opened up one of our parks like we did last year. So it's a dry camping, but lots of rooms, a very beautiful little park. Feel free to come in, pitch your tent, park your RV, do whatever you would like. For special tools, you're gonna need a few things, especially for the night challenge. It's dark, so light is a good thing to have. We recommend flashlights. Probably a UV flashlight would be a very good hint to bring. Those are not expensive. You can get them for less than $10 at any of the local big box stores. There might be some other things, but for right now, you probably need a flashlight. A good, powerful little LED flashlight will work well, and a UV flashlight. We're also going to have some of those available at the check-in in the event somebody shows up without one. So we'll have some of those. We're just going to sell them for the same price we bought them. We're not making money on them. That'll do it. The only other thing I'll add at this point is all the night caches are in our parks and our trails. Sometimes the parking is somewhat limited, so we're going to recommend people get together in groups, make some new friends, and go walking down the trails, and it's going to be a good time. It's going to be fun.
Nice. Hey, in the Q&A, Limax wants to know how far apart the two cities are.
Separated by a river.
So very close.
Yeah, the river's maybe 300 feet wide.
Mm-hmm. Very good. There's a highly favorited cache there, if I remember. It's Big Cache at Little Mountain.
Yes.
And yes. You'd think it's a hike up a mountain, but it's really not. It's a nice cache, and for some reason we didn't get it last year, so I'm gonna have to come back to do it.
Okay. Yeah, I just checked on that one just a little while ago. It's still there and in place, and I think that goes back to 02 or 03. It's one of the older caches.
Yeah, it's one of the older caches in the area. And Little Mountain and all of Mount Vernon around it is a beautiful area, and we really did enjoy our time there last year. You talked a little bit about the event and a little bit about the area, but can we get any insight on the caches? Now, first of all, are the caches still in place from last year?
Most of them are. We ran into some issues on some of the more creative ones that were in a very public area. People figured out really quickly. We lost containers, then we lost logbooks. We resorted to small scraps of paper, and they took that too. So we've archived a few of them. We've actually also this year archived a couple from our first event just to make room. We tried pushing for lab caches to make life simple, but they're not into that for us just yet. So most of the ones from last year are still in place. The downtown bug hunt is still in place. We've got new path tags for that, so there's another little maybe late afternoon thing that takes you through a little historic tour of the old buildings in downtown Mount Vernon. So yeah.
Nice. Any teasers for what caches might be coming up? Anything you're willing to give out?
Let me see. I might have some. I might have some hints here.
Oh, you're off the chain.
I'm not saying how that's going to work. It may be involved. Could be.
You're not just yanking our chain.
And this is just a piece of wood. Let's see. Oh, here. Slow pan across
that's
the
a
screen.
birdhouse.
No.
It's a large birdhouse. Well,
You'll probably see that one.
Tom, we do have to say that the majority of people listen to our podcast, so I have to describe some of the things that are going by.
Okay.
But the Foley was excellent.
Yeah. You like that. And I'm not going to give too much more away. That's half the fun of these. I was inspired by one of our local cachers who has some just amazing caches here, and I'm sitting at my little bench right here where I sit and dream and wander around the hardware store for hours trying to think of what could I turn that into.
Yeah.
And then now I found our it's a recycled building material store. Oh, there's a gold mine of stuff you can build there. So it's going to be fun.
That's awesome. When you guys were talking about the two towns being separated by the river, and then the big cache on Little Mountain came up, it reminded me of another one that we found right along the riverside, and then the chain came out, and that reminded me even more of it. I'm not going to give anything else away, but anybody who's in town, it's not part. I don't think that one's going to be part of the event, but it's one that you do need to find if you're in town.
Yeah, that's actually done by the person who inspired me to come up with creative ones. That's a Hot Pepper Crew is the name of the cacher that hid that one. So yeah, he's got, in fact, all along the river there. I think there's many more similar to those. But yeah, that's a good one to go find.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Fantastic. Hey Tom, so can you remind us again how many years the event has been running, and what got it started originally?
Well, this is our third year. And really what got it started was just kind of my interest in geocaching. At the time, the parks around here weren't really populated, and so I began populating them myself with caches more in line to try to protect some of the infrastructure there instead of having people running off the trails. And I spoke with the parks director at the time and I told him about this, and then of course what got it started is once the Lost Hiker episode passed over and it ended up on NBC News and CNN, and he come to me and said, okay, this is something we need to do to draw people to our city and our parks and our trails. And our first year, I think we had almost 200 people for a first year event, which was amazing to me. And so after that, it's just taken on a life of its own now.
I think Lost Hikers may be a thing in Mount Vernon.
That's right.
Yeah, when we were there last year, we were on Little Mountain, and this husband, wife, and a small girl, they were just exhausted, and we drove right up, parked, grabbed the cash, and they're like, "How did you get here?" Like we drove up. Well, they had hiked over the mountain.
Yeah.
Somebody had told they were following the GPS, got close, and somebody said, "Well, it's just right up there."
Yeah. Somebody on a lawnmower.
Never trust anybody with directions on a riding lawnmower.
Take directions from a lawnmower driver.
This is rule number 14.
Rule number 14. So we gave them a ride back to their car. And it was
Thank you guys for that. Thank you very much.
It was just one of those things. It was like, you hiked all the way here. Wow.
Yeah.
So Tom, you told us a little bit about the coin. How many are there available or will be available?
At this point we have 150 coming in. So I'm thinking with the amount of will attends we're starting to see, there'll be more than enough for everybody that is going to arrive at the event. Last year we let the event run for I think almost 6 weeks after the main day before we ran out of coins. So my guess is this year we'll probably be shutting it down probably within a few weeks. We will keep our website updated on how many coins are left, and we recommend people call our parks office just to make sure that there's something there before you make the trip. But the event will continue on. So we have 150 to hand out this year.
Well, and that leads into the next question. If all the coins aren't claimed on that day, can somebody who can't make the event on that day come back and get the coins at a later date?
Absolutely, absolutely. The event will continue to run. What we will do is after, of course, we're not going to post the logbook that you need to stamp or sign until the day of the event. But once the event has started, you'll be able to go online to the website, download the log sheet, show up in Mount Vernon, go through, get all your stamps, and just bring your completed log sheet to the Parks Administration office, and the nice ladies there will be more than happy to hand you a coin.
Nice. Now, you did say all the coins from last year are gone?
Yes, they're all gone. We've got, I think we have 3 sets that we've held on to for archiving purposes. I think this year's we're going to have a little raffle during our lunch break, and last year we gave out, I believe, a set from year 1 and year 2, and we'll be giving out another set this year for year 1, 2, and 3. So if somebody wants to raffle off, you can get a complete set. You don't even have to do the challenge. You can just win the raffle and be done.
And go home.
Yeah, go home.
Is that the day and night coin they can win? They don't even have to stay for night?
Yeah, you know, hey, if you're that lucky guy, knock yourself out. You're not going to get credit for the caches, but you'll get the nice coin. You can log that you attended the event, and you just won't get 15 new caches.
Well, that's no fun, though.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like as much fun. It sounds like more fun to come and do the caches and have the experience, because I know we enjoyed the experience last year tremendously.
Yeah, it's always more fun to earn them.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned that you expected people to probably finish the challenge, the daytime part, by midday, and then go to that raffle and see if you win things, and go to farmers market. And then there's caches at night, but are there other caches to find between day and night coin challenges?
You know, within the city of Mount Vernon, at last count, we're right at 100 within the city limits. So if you haven't been here before, there's a plethora of things to do. Nice. We have a few power trails within 10 miles of Mount Vernon. I need to double check. I heard, I haven't looked in the last couple of weeks, but I heard a bad rumor. We used to have it's called a trail to rail. It's about 15 miles long, and I believe there used to be about 160 caches, but I needed to check. I forgot. But in the Cedar Woolley area, if you focus your map in on Cedar Woolley, if you see a nice big long line, there's the power trail. But there's tons of just fun and neat caches all over the city. Just within 10 miles, you could probably have a couple 300 caches around here.
So Tom, that's the Cascades rail. It's Cedar Woolley to Concrete.
Yes.
Yeah, that's gone. Mrs. Land Monkey and I did it on the last weekend. It was available. We've got a video on YouTube for that.
Oh, okay.
But it is archived, sadly.
Oh, that's too bad. That was a fun trail.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I know that the caches that we found last year were some of the best caches I've ever found. Kudos to you and your crew. There were some excellent caches, and I expect this year will be no different. They're going to be even better than they were last year. But somebody in the Q&A mentioned, and I realize we haven't brought it up yet at this point, what date is this wonderful event?
Oh, hey, there would be a really good thing. June, of course, I'm not even staring at my calendar. I should know this by heart. June 17th, I believe, is the Friday. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So if I'm off a day, it's the 17th-ish, but it starts on a Friday. On the Friday night, we're having a social at our Round Table Pizza. They were giving us some good deals on food and beverage for there. Milo's People is doing a little letterboxing introduction for those that may want to see what that's all about. She's placed some brand new letterboxes out in the community. So if that's my calendar's correct, I'm not looking at it, but
you're right, Tom.
17th is Friday? Okay.
17th is Friday, so 17th, 18th, and 19th.
And the main event's on the 18th, and on the 19th, we're having a little breakfast social at our local Denny's here in Mount Vernon, and then we're having and I have to argue with Milo's People, we say it differently. Maybe you guys can help us out. I call it a CETO event, she calls it a CITO event. But up at
You're
Hillcrest,
both correct.
We're both correct. Okay, I'm going to record this. So,
unless you want to be more correct, then you could be.
How much is that going to cost me?
We'll talk afterwards.
Okay, so up at Hillcrest Park, we're having a CITO event with another Ivy poll. We did this last year. We had a really great turnout, and Me as a parks employee and the citizens of our community really appreciated everybody pitching in. We filled a 30-yard dumpster with ivy. It was just a really great day and a wonderful way for the geocaching community to give back to Mount Vernon. And so we really, really appreciate that. So if anybody's available to help out with that, takes no special skill. It's little stringy-looking leaves you don't like, and you just grab them and pull them, and they'll come right out. And we'll supply all the tools and gloves and water and everything else.
A 30-yard dumpster. Yes, that's an invasive species.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow.
Hey, Tom, if someone's interested in coming, where could they go to find out more information on the Mount Vernon Geocoin Challenge?
Okay, well, other than the event itself that's posted on geocaching.com, the City of Mount Vernon website, which is www.mountVernonwa, MOUNTVERNONWA.gov/geocaching. And it takes you right to our main page with all of our classes we put on and other events and just general information about geocaching.
I love it.
Yeah,
that will be
good.
in the show notes. If anybody needs to find that afterwards, you don't have to pull over the car now to write that down. Just go to our show notes. You'll be able to catch that later. Tom, we're going to have you back on the podcast maybe after all this madness is done
I'd
to
love
talk about caching while on a cruise. I think that's a great topic.
It was rather difficult because of all the planning we did, that was the one thing I forgot to really prepare for. So I had no PQs set up for it, and finding. Of course, I have to admit, I'm a smartphone cacher, and all of a sudden when you don't even have Wi-Fi, so yeah, that'd be fun to talk. That was an adventure.
There we go. But until then, is there a place that people can find you on the interwebs?
No, I'm anonymous. Okay. You can't find me. No, I don't have any. I'm not a big social media guy. I have a Facebook. I have like 5 friends, and they're my family. So sadly, I don't.
There's times I want to do that myself.
Yeah, well, if you want to ever find any of all the news reports that was done, I think if you Google my name, you'll find all kinds of geocaching cop finds lost hiker. And the only thing was I never got to log that. So,
but you didn't get to log the cache?
Well, no, she wasn't a cache at the time. In hindsight, we did finish the trail she got lost on, and there is actually a cache on that trail that's called Rescue Me that I put there in honor of her. And when the story did hit, of course, the cache was in place before the story hit, and oh man, all of a sudden I got thousands of comments on it, so it was fun.
Nice. Well, Tom, thank you so much for coming and talking to us this evening. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to the Mount Vernon event in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah. We're 3 weeks out, and I'm staring at my workbench here going, oh man, there's going to be some late nights coming up. Yeah.
Great. Now, for the rest of the hosts, we have people that like us. I'm not sure why, but they do. Land Monkey, if people wanted to find you on the interwebs, where would they start looking?
So you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Periscope at LandMonkeyGC. On Facebook, we're Team Land Monkey. On YouTube, just search Land Monkey, and you will find videos of all kinds of things. Most recently, hiking through a dry lake, looking for a geocache with the Wits End and the Bad Cop. But if you want to check out our website, it is landmonkey.blogspot.ca. Wits End, how about you, buddy?
I am Wits End on geocaching and Twitter and Facebook and most social media channels where I can be Wits End. And a very rarely updated blog over at witsend.us with links to all the rest of that. But really, the more interesting place to find me is on Land Monkey's Geocaching Adventures walking through a dry lake bed.
In fact, you can see all of us walking through a dry lake bed.
That's right. Yeah. Even the bad cop.
And there's times where it's not completely dry. There's just a trickle of water. We had to figure out how to cross it.
Bad cop?
When I'm not crossing...
When you're not crossing streams, we're going to find you.
You can find me on Facebook, that's CachingNW, Twitter, CachingNW, even Google+, that's google.com/plus CachingNW.
All right. Well, folks, we want to thank you one more time for taking the time and listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. And remember that you can, as always, be a part of the show by calling 253-693-TFTC and leave us a comment, ask a question, or, hey, meet us in Mount Vernon. Of course, you can email us at feedback@cachingnw.com. And also remember that your support helps to keep quality shows coming. If you like this show, please click the Patreon link on the cachingnw.com website. That's right, it's new, the Patreon link. Check it out. Remember that this show is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license, copyright 2016 by Chris Umpenauer.
Good night, folks.
Good night.
And we are officially clear of the recording,
But they're still watching us.
but they're still watching. Yes, so we have to watch our language. Land Monkey? Limax says, you said you only got to cache in one country. He says, yes, but Canada is a big country.
It is.
By landmass, not necessarily by population.
No, not by population, but I'll tell you, Gold Country is a big area as well. It's
Yeah, it is.
a lot
You
of
got
fun.
to do a lot of driving, don't you, to get the Gold Country caches?
I don't know how many kilometers we put on, but I'll tell you it was well
More than
over
2?
1,000.
Okay. Let's see. Limax also says, wow, getting a Geocoin without caching?
You're going to buy a lot of raffle tickets to win that.
Yeah, but you still don't have to cache. Let's see. Limax also says rope swing. I think that was in reference to some of the caches.
Mm.
There was another one, and he wants to know if that was the chain of love.
You know, the chains that bind you, perhaps. It could be any of those.
There you go. And, you know, since we're talking about chains, you know, it's marriage that brings us together today.
That's right.
Let's be Pendragon. Okay. Brightling wants to do a Q&A roll call. Who's going to Mount Vernon? Where and when can we have a caching in the Northwest meetup?
Well, Mount Vernon would be a good place for that.
Okay. Well, when? I would definitely do it on the 18th.
Well,
We may need to be slightly more specific, but
Oh.
why not during the break between the morning and night at the
There you go.
do it down at the farmers market? Nice little place to meet.
it is a nice place. That's
Yeah,
beautiful down there.
Down near the only working floodgates that I know of.
That's kind of a very interesting gates there, though.
That is. It's fascinating actually. Once we learned what
Yeah.
those were, how that works.
Mm-hmm. Oh, let's see. Brightling says, you guys are so helpful.
Is that sarcasm?
You would expect different.
Dive Monkey says, you can find IHAM on 40 meters.
Okay.
That's ham radio, folks, in case you didn't know that. I'm catching up to this.
Yes.
I can get on the...
Hence the I am.
It's the IHAM. Let's see. Brightling says, when I visited Gold Country on Labor Day last weekend, I put 1,500 kilometers on the car and didn't even drive into the more remote areas, like the land monkeys did.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's land monkeys who drive into a lake.
Yeah, they did.
They did. We hit some amazing spots, and I actually got a new app I installed just for this weekend on my phone for stitching together panoramic photos, and it works really well. And so I posted a couple of those just to try and give people a bit of a sense of when you get up into some of these elevations, looking out across Gold Country, it's high desert. So, you know, when you're looking out at these mountainsides and the rivers, and it's just fantastic.
Nice. Well, Limax won't be able to make it. He has a conference in Modesto that weekend.
Oh,
Let's see. B. Pendragon says, I'm not going. Staff party for a convention I work that day. Wet Coaster says the bad cop has left the building. Captain Obvious has taken his place. So I'll tell you what. Let's do this. I like Tom's idea of meeting up. We don't have a location just yet. Depending on how crowded the farmers market is, maybe we'll find a quiet corner. So let's look to meet up somewhere around 1 o'clock. That's probably realistic. I'll send out a tweet with a location.
Okay.
Does that work for you guys?
I even have some ideas for you.
Okay, there you go. I remember last year we found a couple of spots around the farmers market, but we thought, well, if we meet right there, who knows what tent is going to be there, and at 1 o'clock, it could be knee deep in people. So,
I was gonna say, if I'm not mistaken, I think one of my Twitter banner pictures is this picture here. Was that not taken at Mount Vernon?
Yes.
Yep, that's right outside. In fact, that's the same place we're going to have our little get-together again, like we did last year.
Yeah, I know right where we were.
The sign right underneath us, I think said geocachers meet here.
Yeah, something really obvious like that. So that's what I need.
Well, you got to look away from your GPS and look for the sign. Okay.
Oh, it's a sign we're looking for.
Yeah.
Old school in it.
Die Monkey wants to know if the tweet will include latitude and longitude, and yes, it will. We're geocachers. We're going to find. I'll narrow it down for you, and hopefully it won't be in the middle of the Pacific.
So for us land monkeys, we're not 100% sure if we're going to be able to make it down for the event because it is our son's graduation that weekend. So we'll have to see if we can sneak away long enough. But it's about almost a 2-hour drive down for us. So not sure if we'll be able to make it or not. But
you can
we're
definitely
really
make the night caches.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: we're volunteers for the dry grad that night. So.
You can't get them to postpone it.
Well, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get more of the parents from the high school to step up and volunteer so that it's not all on the same 6 sets of parents for all year. But we'll see what happens.
Maybe they could all come to Mount Vernon and get a coin for their graduation present.
There you
There you go.
Graduation road trip.
Yeah.
Oh, hashtag graduation road trip. Start it now. Watch it take off.
Okay.
Octothorpe. Dr. Octothorpe.
Yeah.
Oh. Limax says, Land Monkey's grin is infectious. No more grinning. There you go. There.
I can't do it.
Oh, you can't do it. Oh, I thought we had the infection under control.
No, hey, I'm not at work. I can grin.
Oh. Oh. Dance, monkey dance.
It must have been from earlier.
Yeah. He also says, sign everywhere, sign.
Cougar sign,
And
bear sign.
He got the joke about the 40 meters. He's a ham as well.
Yeah.
Well, we got a pretty quick crowd that follows this show.
Okay, G-Slink.
Yes, that was good. I chuckled
Yes.
at that.
As I submitted one of my GIF 2016 films tonight. It was a montage of DNFs by Bad Cop with the Benny Hill theme. I had to cut it down to the preliminary 4 minutes.
Wow.
And I want to know where he's been filming me because I have a lot of DNFs.
G-Slink and the Bad Cop, it just keeps going, eh?
Oh,
guys.
Rylang says, man, that means I'll have to pay for data on the day.
Well, do you, or Tom? What's the deal for people?
Good point. So in all of our at our locations where we start out, I should have brought that up in the first place. We do have free Wi-Fi available at all of our park locations. So if you need to download a PQ or whatever you need for your smartphones, you can do that.
Nice.
We also have laptops, like we did last year. We have laptops available for because the caches probably won't be published. I think Milo's people is, again, I have to apologize. I'm not a purist. I don't have a GPS, but she does that GSAC thing, so she's going to have all those available that you can load straight into your GPSs with all the cache information you need. Free Wi-Fi, laptops. You can log in, do whatever you need to do. Plug your devices in, and so that'll be available pretty much everywhere that we move throughout the day. Will always be Wi-Fi available.
Will you have the day and the night caches available in the morning, or do you have to check back in for the night ones?
I think the night ones are gonna. That's a really good point. I hadn't even actually thought about that, getting them all done at one time, because you may as well know where they are. You can't find them in the daylight anyway, so it doesn't much matter. And we're not going to hand out the log sheets for them until night registration, which is 8 o'clock. So, no, you know what? I'll have them all available in the morning. We'll get them all published early so people can get them all loaded up, so it'll be ready to go.
Nice. Well, that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
So there you go, Brian Lang. You don't have to pay for data.
Ta-da!
And maybe we'll get with Tom and see if we can come up with something before the event, and get a location set up that we can do at least some pre-planning. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Tom.
Of course.
B Pendragon says your Patreon just hit its first funding goal. So thank you. So.
Wow.
B Pendragon and Limax have both contributed just during this podcast to Patreon to get us our first funding goal. So thank you guys.
Wow. Thanks, guys. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. I will get your names up on our
Wall of Shame. I mean,
no, the other one.
Well, do we have anything special that we're going to be doing for the patrons?
Well, we're going to do a little extra content every now and again, just like most of the other podcasts do. Some of that is going to be pre-recorded video. Some of it's going to be a live hangout. And, of course, if you're at the right goals, we're going to get path tags made up a couple times a year. Maybe not always a path tag. Maybe it'll be something else similar, but it'll be geocaching related. So.
Very cool.
So yeah, that'll be fun.
That's
so now
awesome.
I got to start planning a path tag. I already got the idea in my head. I just got to get it out.
that means I'm just going to spend time with Gimp.
Yes, it does.
That means I'm going to be spending some extra time with the camera.
And
That's okay.
Was it Pink Cows who helped us the first time?
I think that's it. I can't remember her. I know her name. I can't remember her caching name, but I think that's it. I think it's
Pink Cow Cachers or something like that.
Pink Cow.
Oh, by the way, you know what we're in?
The after show.
I forgot.
Whoops, we forgot to play that. We just went right into it.
Oh boy, Wits End and IHAM in stereo saying "Wall of Shame."
Sorry, Day.
Knee deep in the hoopla? Could
Yeah.
be. And chickens are running.
The running of the chickens.
Yeah.
Apparently-
I'm amazed that Limax found our Patreon page. I think I put it up yesterday or day before without saying anything. I was going to mention it on the show.
Yeah.
And he just happened to be on Patreon and did a search. So
So he's FTF. He's first to fund.
first to fund, yes.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Limax.
I appreciate it. Okay, gentlemen and ladies, whoever's listening. I'm seeing gentlemen, so I say that. I apologize. Thank you. Join us next week, and we will talk about Gold Country. Until then, good night.
Hi, folks.